launching an acting career using positive mindset? What? Welcome to the Joyous Expansion Podcast. I'm your host, Brett Dupree, scouring the globe to bring you stories of courage, passion, and resilience. If I could sum up this podcast into one word, I would use empathy. Now let's get inspired. Welcome to the Joyous Expansion Podcast. I am your host once again, Brett Dupree, your Joyous Expansion life coach, ready to drop some empathy knowledge on you. Well, maybe not empathy knowledge, but knowledge nonetheless. As life gets in the way, I just put out a podcast on Sunday, and today's Wednesday in my life, so not much has happened in 3 days. I mean, still wondering what my work's going to look like in my full-time job as a software tester. So hopefully by Friday, I understand exactly what's going on. Mostly because I'm on vacation next week. Vacation, all I ever want to. Vacation, gotta get away. I am going all the way to home. It's a staycation. Basically, I don't have much to talk because this is the part of the podcast where I talk about my life, because I 100% believe that I cannot ask my guests. Yes, I actually use guests and not interviewees this week. I can't ask them to be vulnerable and not be vulnerable myself. But not much has happened for me to talk about. So I decided that I am going to talk about emotions. Why am I talking about emotions this week? The reason I'm talking about emotions is because of Toastmasters. I am in a Toastmasters. If you've been paying attention to me, I have been a Toastmaster for 9 years now. In January, I'll be 10, my 10-year anniversary. Hopefully by February, I will get my Distinguished Toastmaster, which honestly I'm super excited for. But we have this new thing called Pathways. And Pathways has a lot of benefits. I actually love Pathways. It's the new educational program, and I love it in the sense where I like how modular it is. I like how it's online. I like how it's videos. I like how it presents the information. The only thing I do not like is how the UI is terrible. It was designed by engineers, which engineers don't have the best design. They design for function and form and not for usability, and they just did not spend enough time and money on usability. They probably gave them a short budget and they just fired all their usability testers and UI designers, and they're like, just do the bare minimum. And they really should have spent a little bit. Oh wait, this is not complaining about Pathways, but I am doing a level 3 of this thing called motivational strategies, and it's about understanding emotional intelligence. So the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm supposed to be aware of my emotions and then journal about them, and then at a minimum 2 weeks, give a speech on that. And so in September 10th, I signed up for a speech. But going through that educational session, it talked about what happens when you get emotional as a leader, because Toastmasters is generally from a leadership standpoint. And when you get over emotional, sister, an environment or situation that triggers a negative response, you're supposed to use the following techniques: relax, detach, center, focus. I've been thinking about that ever since I read it. I mean, I understand why they teach that, especially the detach part, because when you are triggered, you can say or do things that you regret. But I think this is a mistake overall. But I completely understand. When you are triggered, that's when you can say the dumbest things. That's when you can say, you just go for the jugular. You say the thing that the person will hurt the person the most and probably would cost you your job, or if you're the boss, cost you an employee. I mean, if you've seen one of those videos out there where a conservative destroys a lib or a liberal shows how dumb a Trump supporter is on video, they actually take advantage of the fact of the person they're interviewing on the video. They take advantage of their emotions. I mean, number one, being on camera makes you nervous. Putting people on camera when you know exactly what to say doesn't make you nervous. So number one, these people are starting nervous. And then you ask the question in such a way that triggers an emotional response, and you just keep on needling in them. This is why the stupid human tricks, but that thing that Jay Leno used to do is ask people questions and they just come up with the dumbest answers. Because number one, they're freaked out because they're going to be on television. Number two, they're told to just say the first thing that comes to their head. And number three, they're so flustered and emotional they can't come up with the answer to how many states there are in the United States. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been in a situation where we just get flustered and we can't even think of our own name. That happens. And then they take advantage of that and they use editing, of course, to make you look even dumber. Basically, all those videos, no matter what side of the political spectrum they are, or how people go out there on television to show how dumb people are, that they don't know the three branches of government, they're all scams. All of them. It doesn't matter. Because they're taking advantage of emotion. So I understand why they teach detach. But at the same time, I got into this argument with somebody, or a discussion, if you will, and I got emotional and he didn't. And basically, it was about gun control, and he was giving me a bunch, the platitudes of why you shouldn't do gun control. And number one, I didn't appreciate somebody talking to me that way. But at no point in the conversation did I feel he was being genuine. No point in the conversation did I feel he truly believed in what he was talking about. He was just in a conversation to win an argument. And that's what happens when you do detach. You don't connect. Emotions are how we connect to people. When I think of myself, of who I want to be and how I want to lead, I want to take advantage of my emotions. Because emotions are energy in motion. Each emotion truly means something. And yes, when I am triggered, all a trigger means that's like something in my past or something I believe in is attacked. Or something in my past is a bad memory has been sparked. And then that emotion just fills, it just feels. And I can understand the desire to detach, but as somebody who spent most of his life detaching, most of his life not wanting to feel emotions, I don't want to detach in no situation, because that I feel like I can go back into my old habit of not feeling emotions. There has to be something better. There has to be something greater than just detaching, taking myself out. There's almost like a disassociation, which I am amazing at. I mean, there's so many times in my life where I have felt like somebody else took over my body and I dissociated with, and then was controlling my body. If you check out my 9th commandment, the 10th episode of the Church of Awesome podcast, I talk about this time where this girl named Danielle, she liked me and I had super nervous anxiety, and she just came out of nowhere and that scared me all of a sudden. Then she told me she liked me. At that point, it felt like I was pulled out of my body. In fact, when even in my memory, it's like I'm looking down and all I could say is that's good. And then I ran away after she was just shocked. But the thing is, it's just I was so flustered and it was like someone took over my body. And almost every time, especially back then, when I said or did something stupid because of my anxiety, it wasn't like I was saying it. It was like something took over me because I detached. I disassociated. So when I read detached, in my mind, I almost read disassociate. In my mind, I read to not deal with. And there has to be a better way. And so I'm going to be thinking about this 2 weeks, but right now I think the best way is to breathe, the power of the breath. Instead of detaching from that emotion, breathe. I mean, yes, you want to take a moment to gather yourself, but instead of detaching, kind of examine of what this emotion is, why you're feeling this way, and then utilize that energy for the benefit of the conversation. Truly connect with the person, because your emotions are your connection. People read emotion. People feel emotion. When you detach that way and then talk, that might be a good way to disassociate yourself with this situation and say, I am too emotional. Can we talk later? Yes. Then you want to detach. When you recognize the fact that you are overly emotional due to a trigger, you need to just get yourself out of that situation. Detach is perfect for that. But if you want to continue that conversation, your emotions are an asset. I believe this is part of excuse if you don't like feminist language, but I do believe this is part of the patriarchy, this idea, or toxic masculinity, this idea that we have to be emotionless to be leaders. But think about it. Almost all our great leaders used emotion. Watch the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King. That was so emotional. That was so inspiring. And I hate Donald Trump. I hate him with a passion of 1,000 suns. But the way he talks during his rally is he elicits emotion from his crowd. Yes, he's using it for racism, just like Hitler did, who was another person who utilized emotion. And We can look at the positive people as well. We can look at Tony Robbins. When Tony Robbins speaks, he is not detaching, he is feeling emotion. When Brene Brown speaks, she is feeling emotion. In fact, every time I listen to my favorite speeches out there, they're not detaching, they're feeling emotion. And the people who do detach, the people who do kind of cut off and just do platitudes and motivational lines that works and just creates a speech that way, those people don't reach me. I find what they say inspiring. It's like when you listen to somebody's audiobook and someone else is reading their words. There's just something missing. I honestly do not like the audiobook as well when the person isn't reading their own book, or if they're just reading their book and not reading their book, not putting the emotion, the feeling, the inflections behind it. When they're just flat out reading, it doesn't impact as much because emotions impact. If you want to make great impact in the world, utilize your emotions. Your emotions are an asset. Yes, they can hinder you if you allow your fight or flight mechanism to take control of yourself and not allow you to make the correct decision, shutting down that frontal lobe, the part of you that can make good decisions. But if you can find a way to feel that emotions and still keep the frontal lobe and not go into fight or flight, but still breathe through it, deep breaths, and be able to truly feel that emotion while sharing, you can truly make an impact. And that's what I'm going to be, It's journaling in the next 3 weeks. Well, enough of that tangent. You're here to listen to Sharon Spinks, an actress and a motivational speaker from Britain. My first international interview. How cool is that? Sharon is a Spotlight registered actress and voiceover artist in Leeds, North Yorkshire, UK. She's passionate, empowering, and confident, and has an optimistic, fun-loving personality with excellent acting and improv skills. She has written and produced her first short film, Bruised Reflection, which is in post-production. She's also been in other movies like The Odyssey, a lead role where she plays head of militia, Beth in Wretched Things, Clouds and Remember, Grace and Mercy. Sharon has become a mindset coach, helping other members of the acting industry to reach their potential. She uses her skills she's learned over the years to help increase their confidence, overcome their limiting beliefs, and become people they were destined to be. In her spare time, Sharon is an avid poetry writer and will shortly be publishing her first book. Now here is my interview with Sharon Spink. Hello, Sharon, and welcome to my podcast.
Hi, Brett. Thanks for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. Can you tell the listeners where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from a little village called Sherburn in Elmet, which is in North Yorkshire in the UK.
I'm excited. You're my first UK interviewee.
Oh, it's exciting. I like that.
So it says here that you're a registered actress and voiceover artist.
Yeah.
How is that going for you?
It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. I started acting back in 2015 and have never looked back. It's one of those careers that it's a passion that I have now. I think it was probably always there, but I just never knew. Did things at school, but was very shy. And so never looked into it. And then in 2015, got the opportunity to try out some acting classes. And as I say, I've never looked back. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it.
Oh, that's so cool. So that was only 5 years ago?
Yeah.
So what prevented you from starting acting before? Because I'm assuming you're not 19 or 14.
No, I'm not. No, my kids are way older than that. It was, as I say, I got the opportunity to try out some acting classes. Before that, it's just something that I'd never thought about doing, never looked into, as I was quite a shy child. So it was not something that I'd thought about doing. But then this opportunity came up and I was, yeah, I'll give that a go. I'd done a couple of interviews on live TV, thought about maybe, I'd quite fancy doing the presenting route. Realised that's actually harder than it looks. They make it look so easy, following the auto cue and everything like that. But yeah, I got this chance and said, yeah, why not? I'll give it a go.
So what came first, the acting or the positivity coaching?
The acting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's through the acting and my original acting coach that the positivity came.
So what were you like before the acting?
I've always been quite a positive person, but not when it came to me. I always sort of put myself down, didn't have much confidence in my abilities, that sort of thing. But through the acting, that's given me that confidence to go out there and do the stuff that most people go, God, I wouldn't do that because it makes me look stupid and things like that. And it's because of the acting that my positivity has grown, as well as my confidence.
Makes sense. I took improv classes for a year because I was afraid of looking like a fool in front of people.
Yeah. Fear holds a lot of people back. It's surprising how many people don't achieve the things that they want to do just because of fear. There's nothing stopping you. Don't ever let fear stop you from doing whatever it is you want to do.
Taking that acting class something that you thought would just be fun to do, or was there actually a reason behind it?
No, I just thought it'd be quite good fun. Yeah, one of my daughters, she'd been doing classes at school, and I'd been helping her out. And then, as they got decided that they were doing adult classes, so I said, right, well, I'll go and give them a go, just see what it's like, have a bit of fun, have a laugh. But then it very, very quickly turned into something that I found out I love doing. As I say, it's just been, I'd say, a bit of a whirlwind. It's been a fantastic journey to this point. Never looked back.
That is exciting. So what was it about the acting that helps switch your mindset?
I'd say it was the coach that I had originally. She was quite big on mindset, and that was, it wasn't just acting classes. We did the whole, it was like three sides. So you do your acting, your business side of the acting industry, and the mindset as well, because obviously we have to deal with rejection and that sort of thing on a daily, almost daily basis. And if you've not got that positive mindset, then you're really going to struggle. She built that in as part of the classes as well.
So what made you decide to actually utilize that in other areas of your life?
It just became part and parcel of daily life that I would, the stuff that I was doing in class would then spill over into daily life. I'd do my meditation, I'd do journaling and that sort of thing. And I thought, it's got to the point where I suddenly looked and I went, I can pass this on to other people. And that's when I sort of thought, right, I can, maybe I could turn this into a business.
What has been the biggest change in your life?
I think meeting all the new people, it has to be, and having a better outlook on my life, my future, my kids' future. And because it's not just other people, obviously the positivity, I use that to pass on to my children as well. Yeah, having that mindset of positivity that you can, whenever anything negative comes up, I know how to deal with it and know how to help others deal with it as well.
Do you have a situation where you reacted differently, where you reflected, like in the past, I wouldn't have done this due to your positive outlook and mindset change?
Yeah, the biggest one is after an audition. At the start of my acting career, I would have maybe done an audition, walked outside, and then beaten myself up all the way home, probably for a couple of days afterwards, going, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Oh, they're going to hate it, and all the negativity. Whereas now, I will go do an audition, done my job, walk away. Yes, I maybe give it a second thought, but not very much after that because I can't change anything. I've learned that, you go in there, you make your sort of positive choices and then walk away. After that, you've done doing the audition is you doing your job. And after that, it's out of your control. So there's no point stressing about it. So that for me has to be a big one.
Yes, I can see how that would be big. How did you go about giving up control over things you can't control?
It's literally just working on your own mindset and knowing that it's wasted energy. It's an absolute waste of energy stressing about something that you cannot control, especially with things like auditions. Once that casting director's seen you, it's out of their control as well because they pass it on to the directors and the producers, and it's their job, so it's way down the line. So there's nothing you can really do. I've learned recently, like I mentioned earlier, but the job that you're doing is actually to go and do your audition. The job is not to get the part. Getting the part is the bonus part of acting. But your job as an actor is to go there and do that audition to the best of your ability. And once you've done your job, that's it. And so, yeah, worrying about something that I can't control is, as I say, is a waste of time. It's taken me a while. I can't say it's been easy because, there have been auditions, especially if I've really, really wanted a part and things like that, then that's the tough one because you don't always hear back from auditions as well. And that's hard to deal with sometimes. But if you can manage to walk away, forget about it, move on to the next one and use the energy that you've got to focus on, say, the next audition and the next one, or learning lines that you've got for a part that that you've already got, then that's a better use of your energy than sitting there and stressing over something that you can't do anything about.
So it sounds like it's a lot about personal energy and how you use it efficiently.
Yeah, precisely. We have limited resources during the day, we have limited time. So there's no point using that energy on something that isn't going to help.
So what was your biggest struggle when making this transition in your life?
For me, it's self-value and self-worth. That's something I've really struggled with, that yes, I am good at what I do. Even now, I'll do something and I'm still wanting other people to say, yes, that's good enough. I don't always have that strength in me to go, actually, yeah, I've been fantastic today, and then walk away. I still need the accolade from other people. So that for me has to be the biggest one.
Getting personal accolades can be important. I mean, that's why it's important to surround yourself with people who give you what you need.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. Surrounding yourself with positive people. I know a friend of mine, he said, you become the average of the 5 people that surround you. So if you surround yourself with negative people, then you're going to become negative. Whereas if you surround yourself with positive people who are maybe one step up in their career to where you are, then you're going to become the average of them as well. So this is, and that's what's good about this industry, is you can always network with people higher up.
Who has been the most famous person you've networked with?
Well, I just got a like off Duncan James today. So currently touring with the Rocky Horror Show. So I got a like off him. So, that, I don't know if that's networking. But I've not worked with loads and loads of famous people yet. Lou Ferrigno, I worked with him. He's a lovely guy, really nice guy. And so, yeah, networked with him a little bit, but not so much. It's more people who work in the mindset industry. One of my biggest influences is a guy called Ross Grant. He runs a website called Act on This for TV, and so I know he's getting pretty well known in the industry now for being a positivity coach and things. And then I have another one she's fairly new to the positivity coaching, Alexandra Wild. She's my other big influence, as well as the lady who ran the acting school in the first place. She's concentrating more on sort of how to get in the media and that sort of thing now. Her name's Luana Ribera. So those are the 3 big influences for me, rather than, it's not a big name. I tend to contact more casting directors, that sort of thing and stuff. There are still some that are elusive and out there, but that I'd like to get in touch with.
How is the positivity mindset business in the UK?
It's becoming very big. For me personally, I'm still small scale. On a bigger scale, sort of UK wide, then I think it is becoming a lot bigger, because people are realizing that life's too short to be negative. They want something positive in our life. We see all the negativity in the news and that sort of thing on a daily basis. So they want a way of being able to deal with that and just to have some general positivity in their lives.
So what have you liked most about starting your career as a mindset coach?
Helping other people. It has to be. To see people grow and change in their mindset is such a reward, because it means that I've done my job properly. I've not pushed things onto them. I've just given them ideas, asked questions, got them to soul search, that sort of thing, and they've done the work themselves, which is what mindset's all about. You can't have somebody saying, oh, you must follow this lesson plan as such. But it's about asking yourself questions and seeing what answers come up for you. So to see that in other people means that I've been asking them the right questions, and as I say, doing my job right.
So it says here that you're an avid poetry writer, and you
Yeah,
actually you write poems about positivity.
yeah. I'm one poem away from launching a book. I just need one more, because what I've done is I've done it 50-50, of half of them sort of positive mindset type poems, and then the rest are just random, my own fun poems, as it were. But I do sort of put the poetry writing down to an ancestor of mine. I don't know if you know Lord Byron, who was the poet, who was friends with Oscar Wilde and people like that. He is direct ancestor of ours. I know he did only have a daughter, so we're not legitimate ancestors, but somewhere down the line we are actually descended from Lord Byron. So I think that's where the poetry writing comes in.
Can you give us an example of one of your poems?
Now you're asking, because I wasn't prepared for that one. Leave that one with me. I'll have a look whilst we're chatting. So if you want to come back to that one, I'll see if I can find something.
Okay. So when it comes to actually putting your poems on paper, do you share them out with people?
Yeah, I have done. Yeah, I've put some out on my Facebook groups, on just on social media, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Have you done a poetry reading?
I haven't. It's something that I keep saying I really should do, and but no, I haven't. And say it's something that I keep saying yes, I really should do. But I think again, that's down to the self confidence and the self worth of going. Are they going to be good enough? So I'm just never sure.
So if somebody were coming to you and talking about how they wanted to have the confidence to read their poetry out loud at a open mic or something, how would you go about working with them?
The same as I would other clients, that you would just see what's holding them back, see where their limiting beliefs are, that sort of thing, and find what it actually is that's stopping them. And because it's generally down to fear.
And generally speaking, fear is what keeps us behind. How do you go about helping people get through the fear?
It's talking about their limiting beliefs, what's actually stopping them, and where their fear lies. It's generally back to something that they've maybe been told as a child, and that sort of thing. So looking at those, breaking them down and showing them how to turn those limiting beliefs around and to say, well, actually, this, whatever you believe it to be true, probably chances are isn't, because it's somebody else's belief that's been pushed onto you as a child. None of my poems are actually saved on my phone or my tablet, so I like to handwrite them out and then I type them up. So I'm just having a look through just to see. I'll try and find you a fairly short one, because sometimes once I start writing, that's it. They tend to go on and on and on. Okay, I found it's not too long. It's a couple of pages maybe, but so
Okay, read it out.
yeah.
I'm
So
interested.
I've called this one Journey, because we're all on a journey, but it's where we take ourselves on that journey. It's up to us where we end up, or not end up, what the journey looks like to get to reaching goals that we want and things like that. So this is one that I wrote to say about a little bit about my journey. So you sit there wondering what to do and don't know where to go. What's in your life? What do you have to show? You don't know where to turn. You cannot see the light. Which path to choose? Which one's wrong and which is right? You need to turn things round and get your mindset clear. There's help at hand. There's always someone near. Just open your mind to new ideas and let your feelings flow. The path you want will all become clear when you let the negativity go. That's easy for you, I hear you cry. You've done all this before, but I was like you not so very long ago, ready to step through that open door. I've done the work and cried the tears of anguish from my past. But tears soon dry, and the anguish doesn't last. You see the world a brighter place, a clearer journey too. Now come with me upon that path, and I will help guide you. I'll take you on your journey, a path that's right and true, a place of discovery, of finding out just exactly who is you. So take my hand and follow me. The first step is the hardest. The strength is deep within yourself. Find it to travel the furthest.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for
you.
sharing.
Thank you. So yeah, that's just
So you're
that was a little bit about my, sort of my journey on the mindset of encouraging others to take their journey as well.
So if somebody is wanting to put out their own book of poetry, what advice would you give them?
Do it. Absolutely. Just write what comes. What I tend quite often do is I need something that inspires me to write. When I do, then it just flows. So I would say look at things that inspire you. Just use what comes to mind, even if it's just one line. Start with one line and go from there, and it's surprising how quickly the poems do flow. Use it as if you use it as to help your mindset as well, then some of my writings I write when I'm not feeling great, I'm not feeling that positive, but I use them as almost, instead of meditation, I'll just literally write what's in my head, almost like journaling. But yeah, don't wait. If life is very short, and the last thing you want to do is get to sort of however old you're going to be on your deathbed and go, oh, I wish I had done XYZ, whatever. That's the worst thing that you want to do. If there's something inside you that's saying, yeah, write some poetry, then just do it. Or whatever it is, if it's acting, it's singing, just something that you've been passionate about. Maybe you've always been passionate about it and you've hidden it. Don't let something like fear or being scared of what other people might think or whatever stop you. Just go out there and do it.
So during your time of working with people, do you have a favorite success story to share?
I have one client that comes to mind. She came to me. She was one of these people who would always put everybody else before her. Family, partner, anybody. If the phone rang, her kids are grown up. If the phone rang and they wanted something, she would literally just drop everything and go and help them. And I got her to realize that actually, if you don't look after yourself, then you don't have enough energy to give to others anyway. So if you're constantly giving to others, you've nothing left for you. You've no reserves. So give to yourself first. It was explained to me like when you're on a plane and the oxygen masks drop and they say always put your own mask on first, because if you can't breathe, you can't help somebody else. It's a bit like that with mindset and positivity, that if you don't sort out your own positivity, you can't help anybody else things. So I showed her and helped her, coached her and guided her through looking at her own self-value, because that was another big one for her, was self-value. And she didn't think she was worthy of giving herself any attention. I see the posts that she's putting out on Facebook now, and they're absolutely fantastic. They're so positive. She's completely changed her mindset round to how she perceives herself. So yeah, I'm really proud of her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Way to help somebody switch their mindset around. That's real cool.
Yeah, really proud of her. She's obviously put the work in, and I've been asking her questions and things like that. And yeah, she's definitely put the work in and gone through some tough times, I think.
So we're coming to the end of our podcast, and one thing I like to ask my interviewees is for a 1 minute of motivation. You can imagine this as if you're as if you have a time machine and you travel back to your 8-year-old self, and you want to convey that information that you need to live a life of success, but unfortunately you only have a minute before you're plopped back into the present time. Or you can think of it as if you're condensing your entire life's message into a minute.
Okay.
So are you ready?
Yeah, this is something that I do as part of the mindset anyway, is going back to your younger self. So for me, it would be, don't listen to others. What others are saying about you really isn't true. You're a fantastic person. You're a beautiful person. You can do whatever it is you want to do. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. You will be great actress. You will, you will be loved. You will be cared for. You will have some amazing friends. You will have some fantastic experiences. So trust that you're going to go on the path that you need to go on to get to that point. Whatever it is you encounter is bringing you to that point, whether it's good or bad. There is a reason why you're going through the process that you're going through, and to get to a point where you are happy and enjoy your career and have a loving family and friends and just a really great life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on my podcast, hearing your story on how in your later in life, discovering a love of acting and actually going for it and utilizing the mindset needed to be successful in acting to putting it into your normal life, and then bringing that out within your children, your family, and other people through mindset coaching is very inspiring. And so thank you for sharing your message with us, and thank you for the work you do to make this world a better place.
Thank you very much, Brett, and for letting me come and share my story with you as well. I hope to share this around and let people know what we've been chatting about tonight.
Oh, definitely will. I hope your day is special.
Thank you.
And there you have it, folks. That is my interview with Sharon Spink. How interesting was that, listening about somebody who later in their life was able to discover something that they loved to do and then went out and do it. And not only that did she discover that she liked acting, and looking at her IMDb page, she's been in multiple movies, some roles small, but at the same time, starting at the age that she is, that's great. Unless you're super lucky, all your first roles are going to be small. And then she gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's really cool. I like listening to stories on how people do something, fall in love with it, and then make it their passion. And then even to turn it around and help with mindset. That is amazing. It does remind me of back in the day when I wanted to change my life forever, and sick of living in fear, I decided that I was going to break out of my prison of fear. And then one year, I believe it was 2006, I decided I was going to take 3 classes a month. And one of the classes I took for about at least 9 of those months, 6 of those months, a long time, I took like a 101, 201, 201, 301. I believe that was mostly in that year. Each one I think was 8 weeks, so a decent amount of time. I took improv classes, which is super fun. There's a reason why there's a trope or a joke about stereotypical 30, 40-year-olds taking improv classes and inviting all their friends. That's because improv classes are super fun. And I thought of it at the time as immersion therapy. One of my biggest fears at that time was to look like a fool in front of other people. And each class, that's all we did. All we did was look like a fool in front of other people. And more I got used to it. And then like a year after I did that, I joined Toastmasters, and that really helped my first couple of speeches, especially table topics. And to be better at that was taking improv classes, the yes-anding of it, the being present to the world around me, the ability to trust myself to think on my feet. A lot of skills that I got from improv classes, and I highly recommend improv classes to everybody, really. They will help you, and they're kind of fun. And I just had extreme social anxiety back then, so if you're afraid, there's a good chance that there's no way that you were more afraid than I was at that time. So listening to her story was very interesting to me, and also having her nice enough to share her poetry. She wasn't ready for that, but she read it, which was really cool. I like having people read their heart and soul online. That is pretty awesome. So I truly appreciate that. If you're interested with working with Sharon, you can find her at www.sharonspink.co.uk. Sharon, SharonSpink. You can also find her at Facebook at Sharon Spink Act, Twitter, Sharon Spink Act, and Instagram, Sharon Spink Act. That is some good search engine optimization and marketing right there. All three being the same. That is amazing. I truly appreciate that when I put these up on my personal feeds. I don't have to change it for each one. That's awesome. Thank you, Sharon, for being good at marketing. And that is this episode of the Joyous Expansion podcast. If you are interested in getting in touch with me, asking me a question, or even being interviewed on this podcast, send me an email at BRE2TsDUPR2Es@joyousexpansion.com. You can also check out joyousexpansion.com for a free ebook for me, and plus my book, my audiobook, so many free things for you to download. You can find me on Instagram at Joyous Expansion, Twitter, Joyous Expansion, and Facebook at Increase Your Joy. Yes, I messed up on the marketing on that one. Once again, this is Brett Dupree, your Joyous Expansion life coach, champion of authentic joy and catalyst of transformation for the Church of Awesome, which is also another podcast that I do. Check out Seven Stones Radio if you want to hear more of this amazing voice and about the new movement that I'm working on creating, a world where people make their ideal selves their God. Thank you so much for listening to Joyous Expansion Podcast. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, ring the bell, however you're hearing this, wherever podcast, if you want to listen to more at pod.joyousexpansion.com. And thank you. If you got this far, just know that I truly 100% appreciate you for who you are. You're an amazing human being. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And I remind you once again, to be love, to be joy, to be awesome. Play that jingle.
JoyousExpansion.com. JoyousExpansion.com. Come and say hello to Brett Dupree. He is an inspirational life coach, good for you and good for me. He turned my life from grey to blue. I'm sure he'll do the same for you. Get in touch and you'll see your life will change dramatically. JoyousExpansion.com. JoyousExpansion.com. Yeah.